descent, we eliminated them from the owning land, even though our culture says that they're still our family, you know, regardless of where they live. And the tie is still there, whether they are, you know, they left us 50 years ago. In fact, we welcome them more, you know, because we have lost that, you know, closeness with the family, and they continue to be part of our family. So the tradition is that we tend to include them when land distribution is made, because they, you know, it's either their grandfather or their father, you know, is part of that root, and therefore the family would still be entitled to that distribution of land. But because of the Article 12, it excluded them, and then, you know, all it created is, you know, very expensive litigation.
Yep.
You want to add something?
Yeah, and John, again, it goes back to what we said earlier in the program, that it's a purely political definition on who is an NMD.
True.
And there are so much uncertainties on when the trust territory or trusteeship was going to end. And so the framer were debating all kinds of issues, discussing all kinds of issues, including that realization that at a certain point of time, those that are NMD will eventually be displaced as they begin to lose their bloodline. It was factored in that about 3 generations from the inception of the Constitution is the turning point where we would begin to see the NMD watered down to 1/8%, and therefore they won't be able to own land fee simple.
Let me just go back to what the senator said about this, the sense of compassion and accommodation that we find in our culture. This provision under Article 12 just does the exact opposite. Like you said, it breeds uncertainty, and it further breeds instability. So there's got to be some sense of definity in what we want by granting our people 100% ownership under Article 12. In fact, let's just, you know, slowly, as more of our people understand what is under Article 12, I think they would agree to follow our presentation and get rid of Article 12. It is anti-culture, harmony is part of our culture, not alienation or, you know, the displacement of our people. Yes, Senator?
You know, alienation is sale, and actually it restricts the acquisition or the sale of land to Northern Marianas descent. But, you know, there are many, many exemptions that were made, and so the real indigenous person might not qualify to own the land, but a non-NMI descent may qualify to own the land because of the many exemptions that are being made under the Article 12 provisions. So it's a very complicated law, and, you know, the best way to resolve all this is just get rid of Article 12, let people, you know, decide what to do with their land, and they can still hold on to their land if they don't want to sell it. But if somebody wants to sell it, let it, you know, be on a competitive price.
Now, the other issue that I'd like to start discussing is the blood quantum. You know, the requirement that you have to be 25% carrying, you know, tomorrow to own land. What are your, can you share your views with our audience tonight on this issue?
John, it's very clear that the framer of the Constitution realizes that, you know, since the NMD definition is a political definition, there has to be certain limitations put in place. And so those limitations are, for example, let's go to an adoption bloodline. So long as both parents are NMD 100%, you're all right. Their offsprings are okay. However, say one of the spouse is a non-NMD, then their children will automatically be 50% NMD only. Okay, and so forth. If that 50% marries a non-NMD, their children will be 25%. That's the cutoff, 1/4%. After that, you can own land fee simple. Let's look at the reverse of what we're saying now. A child, and this has happened in the CNMI, a 100% NMD child was adopted by a parent, a family whose one of the spouse is only 50, non-NMD rather, that child takes the citizenship of the parents. So he or she became a 50% NMD, but yet that child is a full-blooded Chamorro. But yet, because of the adoption and the adopting parents being non-NMD, one of them non-NMD, that child becomes 50%. Now, a child from anywhere in the world, non-NMD, adopted by a 100% NMD parents, becomes 100% NMD. And therefore, that child seems to have more right than a child that is 50%. And I believe I don't know whether we showed the chart last time we made our presentation, but we have a chart that we developed that shows, the relationship between if both man and wife are 100% NMD, then your offspring is, say we call it Joseph. Joseph is 100% NMD. If, however, the husband is 50% non-NMD and the wife is 100% NMD, then Joseph becomes 50% NMD only, and so forth.
One of the reasons why this group has ventured out into taking it upon itself to provide public education is because, like this issue on proposed improved status for foreigners, we seem to be, cheering when the parade left already. We were cheering when the parade left. There's no more a parade, but we were still along the roadside clapping our hands. That's why I honestly admire this group's initiative and proactivity in trying to bring to our general public, to our young and old, an understanding of what is really under Article 12. Not what I think is under Article 12, but what is written. And we have done a superb job analyzing, simplifying, so that everybody understands. I'm surprised that if there are 100 people that I've talked to, nobody knows what is under Article 12. Is this the reaction, Senator and Prim, that you have come across?
It is a very complicated, issue, and it requires a lot of, rereading and reading the Constitution, and even seeking legal opinion on the interpretation of the Constitution. And so it is hard to understand. Even me, I was a legislator, and I still have to, carry my Constitution and read that provision all the time. And remember that the first Constitutional Convention actually said, and I'm gonna, read this from a paper that was done by Deanne Zimmer, or Howard Williams, and because of these uncertainties, they actually settled on a definition that they thought would raise no serious problems for 3 generations, and allocating about 20 years for each new generation, so that it was anticipated that eventually that Section 805 of the Covenant, would end, and we would no longer have to deal, on these complicated definitions, amendments to the Constitution, and the litigation where the court makes a decision. So it's very risky too when you go to court, because when the court interprets, it might not be the real intent of what was really approved by the people. And it's all the more that we should just get rid of it and let, like you said, let the owner of the land be the owner 100% without interference from government.
I know that it's been also used as an argument in support of keeping Article 12, and that is the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decision. It should be understood that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, did not address the constitutional issue of Article 12. It simply took the flag, the United States, the CNMI, because they agreed, they said, okay, Article 12 is okay. The other thing that we should try to understand is that in fact, all land here is individually owned. It does not belong to a clan, because we don't have a clan. It's gone. It does not belong to a tribe, because we're not a tribal group of people. The only other place that I know where clanship survived